Welcome to another video, guys. Today we're going to be doing a tier list for all of the legendary cards from the new Violet Gold expansion, so you guys can get excited about your pack openings and know if you actually struck gold or actually opened crap. I hope you find the video helpful, and if you do, a like and subscribe would be appreciated, and I will be doing a giveaway for a regular bundle provided by Blizzards, and all you gotta do is leave a comment which is your favorite Violet Gold legendary cards. I will draw the winner live on stream tomorrow when the expansion launches, so be on the lookout for that. But now, let's get into the video.
You are not prepared!
Alrighty, we're gonna start off with all the neutrals first, and then we're gonna move on to the classes, so you guys can have a better picture of what you should be excited about. There's definitely plenty of very exciting cards, but also quite a few pretty crappy ones. Without further ado, let's just dive into it. The first card is gonna be Warden Maiev, and honestly, this card really does look strong. I was expecting to see a lot more of it on the Fury Crafting streams, but we really didn't, and I'm not sure why. It might just not feel as good. I did even craft myself a deck with it, but it simply just did not feel that great, and it felt a little bit on the slow side, because yeah, you are gonna have to wait a little bit for her to be worth it, but I do believe she does have potential. For now, I'm gonna slap her into the B segment. Sounds pretty okay to me, but we will see how that really pans out. The next one is gonna be Inspector Murloc Holmes, and this guy is another decent looking card, which we haven't seen too much of just yet. People really are not playing it too much, and for decent reason. It is a little bit too random. 4 mana, do nothing basically half the time. Doesn't sound too amazing. It's basically just a Chillwind Yeti with the chance of it giving you a little bit of coins or making the opponent play a little bit more awkward than he usually would. But I'm just not sure what type of deck is going to be including a card like this. Maybe you can include it in some kind of ramp druid, slow gree kind, something along those lines, something like a priest. Get yourself free coins like that will allow it to actually do some broken things a lot sooner, so maybe it has potential. So again, I'm gonna give it a B and call it a day. The third neutral legendary card would be Zuramat's Prison, and this bad boy really does look strong. Choose a card to discard to summon a 5/5 taunt, and also Death Rattle. Get yourself an 8/8 that casts one of those discarded cards each turn, or summons it if it was a minion. Really does sound great, and I do believe this is basically gonna be something of the Elise of the expansion, the Ziliax of the expansion. We should be seeing plenty of this location and plenty of different decks. All kinds of different archetypes could be using it, but obviously mid-range to slow decks would be the best use case scenario, because discarding yourself big cards and actually reaching those big cards is what you want to be doing, whereas in aggro, well, you're simply never going to get the Zuramat, because this thing is going to take 5 business days until you can actually get anything out of it. I am going to slap it into A, so maybe it's not the Elise of the expansion, because obviously S tier would be for those, but definitely a very solid neutral legendary card that many classes will be able to abuse plenty. Speaking of abusing, next up is Vanessa, and you don't need me to tell you this is an absolutely S tier card. It is just way too busted, way too strong, and I'm definitely sure this card is gonna receive a nerf. If not 14 days after the expansion launches, definitely a couple of more weeks after, so just be on the lookout for it. Let's not pretend it's not getting nerfed. Obviously, it does need to be at least 8 mana in my opinion, but who knows what they're gonna figure out. A very solid card, gives you way too much gas for way too cheap for way too early. What doesn't give you way too much gas, cheap and early or whatever, would be Thogwoggle, and this guy, I literally don't have any clue why the hell would they print a card like this. Yeah, it's a meme, but it's not even a meme, guys. It's just a bad card altogether. I would not really touch this card with a 5-foot pole. It's just so bad. The whole point of this card is just to dilute the 8-drop pool, I'd say. Getting yourself an 8 mana do nothing 5/5 would be absolutely garbage for all sorts of classes that generate random 8 drops, like Leyline Mage would be very sad about this. Plenty of other cards that actually generate 8 drops. It's just absolute garbage. The effect is horrible, the stats are horrible, the mana is horrible, everything about this card is horrible. If there was anything lower than F, I'd give it that, but alas, we are limited by technology. And now we're moving on to the classes. Nice little spread for all of these, and honestly, we could have just done this and have one of each, but nah, I think Murloc Holmes does have some potential here and there. So yeah, let's move down to the classes, and the first card is gonna be Kara of the Broken, which is looking like a decent card for something like a Control Priest. Definitely was decently strong on the Tavern Brawl because you get yourself way too much value out of just a single card, and you could definitely get yourself some pretty insane high rolls. I do believe this card has potential to get seen in something like a Control Priest or something like that. It's not gonna be game breaking or anything like that, but I think I'm gonna err on the side of optimism and go for a B here, even though it could have just as easily gone for C. What could not have just as easily gone anywhere near B, however, would be Azalina, and this card is absolute garbage, like total filth, dog water. Absolute bullshit. Like, why the fuck would they craft this absolute piece of ass, guys? Like, I have no idea. This card, it takes literally a single game to see how freaking bad it is. You can watch my video about how bad it actually felt. And I do not plan on ever doing a single other game with this pile of horse manure. It simply is... It's gonna become the new challenge, guys. People are gonna start challenging themselves, reach Legend with Azalina deck. It's gonna be a lot worse than Whizbang decks from the past. So, yeah, just throw it in the bin and never look at it again. If you open it, I apologize. Hearthstone did you dirty. Moving down to Deathknights, we have ourselves Blood Doctor Thalina, and getting yourself an extra hero power for 3 corpses only, you are going to get yourself +3 attack. You could be using this on your hero power, you could be using this on any minion. It's going to be pretty decent. It does have a restriction, you are going to have a blood rune, so triple unholy Death Knight is not going to be running it, which honestly was the first thing that pops to mind when you see a card like this, so it is a little bit limited, but I do believe it should be a respectably strong card for a while, and we should be seeing plenty of it for the Death Knight class. I'm gonna give it an A. Could feel a little bit on the B side, especially right now. I don't think it's gonna immediately become amazing, but I do believe this card is gonna see plenty of play throughout the years it has in Standard. Next up, we have the Living Plague, and this is another pretty garbagey card, I gotta say. It does have some potential, like if for instance something like Void Demon Hunter becomes a deck, shuffling 7 plagues into the opponent's empty deck would be 14 damage straight out, so it's basically a lot better than 7 damage charge, but still feels a little bit on the wrong side. It does have even a restriction with the Unholy Rune. I'm gonna give it a C. It does potentially see play here and there, but I wouldn't be holding my breath for it too long. Moving down to Druids, we have ourselves Chef Nefrek, and this guy, you already saw how broken he is. He is definitely gonna see plenty of play throughout the years. Even on day 1, it should be pretty broken. I do believe he is gonna be straight out into the S tier. Like, it doesn't sound that strong when you think about it. It's basically turn 6 ramp by 4, but given the fact you didn't have to spend turns actually ramping, and given the fact you are gonna be an aggressive, nice and quick deck for the most part, you should be getting yourself quite a lot of good stuff out of this. There's plenty of greedy versions of this deck, including the one I tried and actually felt pretty fun with. So definitely look forward to seeing this guy in action. He is going to be seeing all sorts of different archetypes getting into play. Would be a pretty proper card if you ask me. What's also going to be a pretty proper card would be the Staff of Trickery. Again, definitely pretty solid card. I'm going to give it an A. Straight out for 4 mana, you get the discount 3 cards and discover them. That alone is pretty busted if you ask me. And let's not forget you could amp up your damage by a lot, but even without amping up your damage, this thing is still going to give you a lot of extra gassage. So all around, it does sound amazing. And the more attack you give yourself, the bigger the discounts. You could actually cheat out some pretty proper bangers out of this. The fact it's going to be a discover and not just randomly getting some garbage cards is also pretty amazing. And it is going to be skill testing for you, so you can actually discover yourself something proper. Speaking of skill testing, now let's talk about Rogue, and we are starting off with Slice and Dice. This card looks pretty strong, giving you replay all other cards you've played this turn, but the fact that it also ends your turn instantly as soon as you play this thing is not that amazing, because as soon as you see a card like this, you're like, wow, I'm gonna repeat all of those coins, especially with Aya and stuff, and that's gonna be great. But no, as soon as you get those coins, your turn is already over, so you don't get to do anything with it. But even with that downside, this card is still gonna be pretty close to S tier, but I'd say A tier would be a good place to put it for now. There's probably going to be some sort of broken OTK combos with it, or you could just fill up the board with a bunch of Jades. Definitely sounds pretty good, so be on the lookout for this card. It's probably going to be amazing. What's kind of questionable, however, is Aya, a Lotus Kingpin. And even though this card does sound a little bit expensive, you are going to be a coin deck after all, so getting this card as soon as turn 4 is definitely going to be pretty doable. The fact that you're always going to be starting second is also no joke. You are going to be able to actually always have yourself an extra coin unless you're against another rogue player. So in that case, if both of you have Aya, it's going to be a 50-50. You're not both going to start second. That's not how life works. So yeah, kind of interesting. We have some pretty cool options for the coins. Just don't forget, if you actually play Aya for a second time, your coins are not going to magically become double counterfeit. You're just going to get a second option to choose what kind of coins you want for the future of the game. I was a dumbass and actually fought. After the opponent mistressed me, I played Aya again thinking I'm going to get Jades and Kazakus potions. No, that's not how that works. You're just going to get a second option of picking what your coins are going to be looking like, and they all turn into whatever the hell you chose the second time. You still get yourself a couple of extra coins, but not the worst. Feels a little bit on the iffy side, but I do believe it does have plenty of potential. It's between B and an A for me, honestly. I'm going to let it go to B for now, but I would not be surprised if it becomes actually pretty strong. Another really strong card would be for Paladin, and we do have Commander Beatrix. This card, I do believe, is going to be absolutely S tier. Most Paladin decks are going to be abusing the hell out of this. You could be doing it in all sorts of different ways. With the new pure Pally Death Rattle minion giving you all sorts of random stuff. You could also consider doing this maybe even with the Silver Hand nonsense, giving your Silver Hands plus 10 attack eventually with the 2-1 Rusher guy. Potentially, you could just fill up your deck with a bunch of cheap spells and include the Violet Treasure Gill. All sorts of different options. The new Fireball guy is also pretty potent here. So yeah, plenty of different options, that's for sure. Another absolute garbage card, however, would be this thing, like Vama. Absolute garbage, guys. Like, I don't know even who decided this would be a good card. This thing at 6 mana maybe sees play. At 9 mana, absolutely never. With these type of stats, like, absolute dog water. Like, who decided this is good, guys? I get that some cards need to be pack fillers, but Legendaries being pack fillers, that's just dirty. Moving down to Warrior, we have Warp Tooth, also known as Patches 2026, and this guy really does look strong, guys. Warrior getting themselves a nice little charge minion, free beast that comes out of your deck, or your hand for that matter. This is pretty good, would be pretty huge. And let's not forget, you get to have a second copy of this guy thanks to the other legendary Warrior is gonna have, but more on that later. So yeah, this is, I'd say, another absolutely S tier card. It should be seeing plenty of play and plenty of different iterations of Warriors. Should be pretty busted, that's for sure. And the next Warrior card is also pretty strong. This is none other than Chainbreaker Hogger, the rule breaker for the Warrior class, allowing you to have 2 of each legendary in your deck. Sounds pretty amazing. And I don't believe people are just going to be slapping tons and tons of legendaries for the sake of this guy getting a bigger, better effect. No, you're just going to be using a refined amount of good legendaries in there. This guy on his own, he's an 8 mana 10/10 taunt, so he is not a 8 mana do nothing. He actually protect yourself, and you also get yourself a decent chunk of stats. It's not amazing, but the fact is, at the start of game, this thing doubles up your other legendaries, so really can't say no to that. If he was an 8 mana 8/8 do nothing, in that case he would have been pretty rough, but standing as is, I would believe this guy is definitely an A, maybe even an A+. Another A+ card, heck maybe S+ card, would be Godfrey. I'm not sure if we're gonna get ourselves a top tier deck with this guy just yet, but the effect is just way too strong. For Wild, surely it's gonna be broken. For Standard, I do believe there is gonna be a good Godfrey deck with this guy. Of course, Godfrey deck, you know, but yeah, there's plenty of good support cards with the new location, with the extra card draw. All sorts of different cards are gonna be helping this guy plenty. So we should be seeing all sorts of different iterations for Godfrey, maybe with Rafam, maybe just hand Warlocks, all sorts of different things. The fact you are never going to care about overdrawing again, you're actually going to be welcoming it, is going to be pretty huge. So yeah, this should be pretty amazing. Maybe even an egg deck would be abusing Godfrey some way, shape, or form. We shall see. The other legendary we have here is actually pretty mediocre, not gonna lie. We have Morag. Morag does sound strong, and there are plenty of decent demons in Standard right now, but when it comes into play, it really doesn't feel amazing. And also the fact that you cannot be running this guy into a Rafam deck, my dumbass actually did, is also pretty stupid. Like, one of the Rafams is actually a demon, so that would break the Rafam deck, or at least the Rafam win condition for you. If you play this guy and that pulls out the demon Rafam, that is gonna deny you playing 10 Rafams that game. But it feels bad. Like, if this guy had taunt, would have been amazing. Without taunt, however, he is basically something like a 6 mana do nothing, and he's gonna be 6 mana because you've actually spent 3 mana a turn prior, which also is not not happening very easily for Warlock, because when you have too many, you're gonna probably hero power, and this guy is gonna make you doubt that, so I'm actually gonna give him a C. Like, I was thinking about giving him a B, but it just feels bad. Not having Taunt, not having Rush, not having Lifesteal, nothing basically. Yeah, you are gonna tether out some other demons. Eventually, you're gonna do it over and over again if you're lucky enough not to get silenced, polymorphed, hexed, that kind of stuff, but even then it feels kind of dumb. Moving down to Demon Hunter, we have Irida, Sin Seeker, and this is a pretty cool new rule breaker card for sure. Getting yourself all of your deck into the void and start taking fatigue damage could be a positive thing, but a lot of the times it could also be a bad thing. Of course, like I said, Deathknight could definitely abuse this with their plagues shuffled into your now empty deck. You are going to instantly top deck those. You're also going to take fatigue damage, so that can be pretty disgusting, but I don't believe this deck is really going to pick up that much for that to be a cog block for this. But of course, there's plenty of other downsides to emptying your deck, but also plenty of positive upsides. Like, for instance, you could be running things like Broxigar and start shuffling the portal into your empty deck over and over again. You're still going to be taking fatigue damage while getting the portals, by the way, don't get me wrong. It does amp up pretty quickly, which is not great, but it definitely does give you Broxigar a lot sooner if the stars aligned. Another thing you could also be doing is include yourself the location, the Eternal Holds, and other spells that don't want you to be having minions in your deck, and you are going to get to have those effects straight out. So it does sound good, and I do believe we are going to see a working deck with this. I'm going to give it a B. Might turn out to be an A or heck even S, but for now I think B sounds fair. We also have Trestaff, Soul Parasite. He definitely does look cool. You could be abusing this guy plenty with the new Demon Seeds, and he does actually get quite a lot of stats quite quickly, even with just a few Demon Seeds prepped. And also, if you've actually dropped this guy's mana down to like 2 or 3, you could be doing something decently good as soon as turn 5, 6. It does have Rush, so definitely gives you a good amount of stats. I do believe, call me crazy, but I feel like it's an A, guys. Like, it's something between B+ and A, but let's give it an A for now. I think it definitely does have plenty of merit. I did see plenty of it during the Fury Crafting stream, and it did look strong, so definitely feels strong to me as well. And now let's move down to the Mage cards. Definitely plenty of good ones here. And we do have the Skeleton Key, which feels like it's going to be an auto-include in all sorts of different Mage decks. This is just way too good. 1 mana getting yourself the perfect discover, with the downside of sometimes slapping yourself for 5 in the face. Definitely not great. But for something like a Burn Mage, I'd say this would be a great inclusion. For Leyline Mage, it's kind of scary getting the 5 damage, not gonna lie, but still pretty worth it being able to discover yourself an extra Leyline or 2. Getting yourself some card draw, some removal when you need it, that kind of stuff definitely sounds great, so I do believe this is going to be an S tier card for quite a while for Mage. And another pretty good card would be Jailhouse Mana Storm. I haven't seen much of this guy, however. Didn't see any of it during the Fury Crafting, didn't see any of it during the Tavern Brawl, so I'm starting to feel that the 5 mana do nothing might not be so amazing as we first thought, but the effect definitely is undeniably good. There's no prep on him or anything like that, so that's definitely a bummer. Could have made the card absolutely top tier, but standing as is, playing this guy on turn 5 and then trying to amp up stuff probably is gonna be worth it. You could get yourself plenty of big minions, plenty of small minions, or anything in between, but I'm not gonna give him an S. I think it's just gonna be an A, and there you have it. Next up, we have Tiny Pals, the legendary weapon for Shaman, and this thing is really strong. You are gonna get to pick out of 4 types of ammunition. You can freeze 2 enemies, like you attack an enemy and freeze 2 other enemies. This is important, like if you attack the opponent's face, there's only a single enemy on the board. Don't expect this to freeze both. It is gonna freeze the minion. If you attack the minion, it's gonna freeze the face. I actually thought it was a bug at first, but no, it does explicitly say it. The other option would be to deal 1 damage to all enemies, I do believe. You can also discover yourself free drop minion on the boards and give it taunt, and the other one was getting yourself a random battlecry minion and discounted by 2. All those options definitely are pretty solid, and this being a 4 mana 6 damage on a stick with an added bonus definitely makes it a pretty good card, and I do believe this thing would be pretty important for most Shaman decks, and I will be giving it an S, because we are definitely gonna see plenty of this bad boy. Only 3 cards left, one of which would be Mugsy, the other Shaman legendary card, and this guy really is strong. We've already seen how strong the nothing but spells deck is, and I do believe this guy is going to be pretty defining for the Shaman class. We saw plenty of amazing spells introduced with this expansion that turn into minions, so you get to abuse the extra effect Mugsy gives. There's also plenty of good ways to discover yourself extra minions that way, so I do believe this is going to be another very meta defining card for Shaman for quite a while. It does feel like I'm giving way too many cards S tier, but I really do believe these 2 were very, very worth it, so why wouldn't I? And now we're moving down to Hunter, where things slow down a bit. Starting off with the Ratcatcher, a free mana 4/2 mech. Battlecry, copy all spells in your deck. Death Rattle, draw 1. Doesn't sound that amazing. Copying all spells in your deck, not the worst, especially with all the shuffle spells you're going to be doing in your deck. It does actually feel quite good when you do shuffle those spells and then double them up, but how often that's going to happen, I'm really not sure, so I'm not really seeing this card being too amazing. I'm going to give it a B, but it is questionable at best. And lastly, we do have the 6 mana 6/5 Beast, King of the Underbelly. While building your deck, pick 3 Contraband Beasts, Battlecry, discover 1, it costs 3 less. So this way you are going to be able to reliably get yourself a Tortla as soon as turn 6 or 7, more like turn 7, because even with the coin, do this on 5, you're still going to have to wait a turn to play Tortla. You could also discover yourself all sorts of other broken beasts, like Omens, like Agamagams even is going to be good in this case, because you actually do get to abuse the Battlecry, so this guy should be strong, I do believe. Will it be a part of a top tier deck just yet? I'm not sure, but eventually I'm pretty sure this guy's going to be busted, so I'm going to give it an A for now. Eventually it might turn into an S, however. So there you have it, all the cards rated. I do believe I'm a little bit too optimistic for some of these, but not by much, like not by much. Yeah, we could move a few of these down to B, we could move a few of these down to A, but for the most part, I do genuinely believe a lot of these cards have very good potential, and even if it turns out they don't end up being very strong, this doesn't mean they didn't look strong at the moment. Like, a lot of these, we are going with the presumption that eventually something is gonna get released that makes them even more broken, but if the game just never gives those cards, well, maybe they're just gonna remain not so amazing. But yeah, it's not an exact science, it's not supposed to be, we're just doing these for gits and shickles in the end of the day. Do let me know in the comments if you guys agree with this tier list, and don't forget to drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what is your favorite legendary card out of the new expansion, and I will be drawing the winner live on Twitch tomorrow when the new expansion drops, so be on the lookout for that one. Thanks for watching, guys. I'm Kris05, and I'll see you in my next video or stream.